This is the Kansas State Network. From KSN News, this is a special report. The President in Kansas.
Hello everyone, you're looking at a live picture of Cessna's 21st Street training facility where in less than an hour, President Clinton and several of his cabinet members will be walking through the doors to help dedicate the building and celebrate its success. Thanks for joining us. I'm Melissa Beck.
And I'm Todd McDermott. President Clinton is due to touch down in Wichita in just 25 minutes, making him the first sitting president to come to our town since Jimmy Carter way back in 1978.
That's right. He's coming to honor Cessna's training program, which has moved more than 200 people from the welfare rolls to Cessna's payroll since 1990, and which the president says should be a model for the nation.
So obviously a very special day. So for the next 3 hours, KSN will have complete coverage of the president's visit right up until the time he leaves our town. Here's some of what you can expect to see and hear. We'll take you live out to McConnell Air Force Base to see the president land in Air Force One. We'll tell you about the progress of the motorcade and right to Cessna's Training Center at 21st and Jardine.
And along the way, we'll check in with our crews out on the street and the crowds gathered to see the president. We'll also give you a look at what the Cessna Training Center does. We'll take a look at revitalization of the 21st Street corridor where the training center is located, and we'll show you what goes into making a presidential visit happen. And of course, we'll take you inside the training center to hear the president's speech.
So it'll air in its entirety this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Now, we're going to go out to the Cessna Training Center where KSN's Bob Wiltfong is waiting for President Bill Clinton. Bob, are you there?
Yes, I am here, and excitement is building, as you can imagine, Todd, Melissa. It's been 19 years since the President of the United States has visited Wichita. Today, Bill Clinton makes it official. He comes to Wichita to praise Cessna's Training Center here. The crowd started filing in around an hour ago, and as you can see, most seats are taken by now. It is a crowd mostly made up of about 400 people, Cessna employees, and invited guests only. Cessna, we are told, had to provide a list of people to the White House for this event so the Secret Service could do background checks on everyone here, including the media. It makes you wonder what they have on us. But regardless, the President of the United States is expected here around 1 o'clock to arrive here at the Cessna Training Center, and he will immediately take a tour of the facility. Around 1:25, about 12 speakers will take to the podium, the president being the last. Among the speakers will be Johnny Cartledge, the director of this program, including Dan Glickman, the Secretary of Agriculture, Eli Siegel, who's the CEO and the main guy in this Welfare to Work partnership, a partnership of businesses around the country, including Cessna. We'll also hear from Russ Meyer, the CEO of Cessna. A couple of graduates from this program will speak at this podium. Certainly a nervous moment for them, but also an exciting moment they'll never forget. And then finally, the President of the United States will address this crowd. We don't know exactly what the President will be talking about, but we're sure that it will include praise of the Cessna program here, a program that takes people on welfare and puts them in long life, hopefully long life jobs for the future. We also expect some rumblings here, at least we've heard some rumblings, that we might have a big announcement from the President as far as the federal government advancing this Welfare to Work program. We'll keep a close ear to that and pass along as it happens live to you here on KSN. We also expect, because of the Iraq tensions, that we might hear some comments from President Clinton on that. Around 2:25, about an hour after the speeches begin, the President is expected to leave this training center and to be on his way to McConnell. He'll spend overall about 2.5 hours in Wichita, so it'll be a very short and sweet moment. As I said, 19 years ago, 1978 was the last time we had the President of the United States in Wichita. At that time, it was President Jimmy Carter. Today, in about an hour, we'll have President Bill Clinton.
And Bob, I think it's important to note that when Jimmy Carter was here, he was raising money for Democratic candidates, obviously.
Right.
This is not a fundraiser. This is a chance for Wichita to shine. This is because Cessna has done such a great job with this Welfare to Work program. It's been around for 7 years.
Exactly. And one footnote I should pass along to you, Todd. There's people at home who want to come down here to see the President and his motorcade. We're being told this is more like an airport shuttle than a motorcade and a parade, so it will move very quickly. Also, I can tell you that they're probably going to keep people away from 21st.
And Bob, I don't know if they told you this or not, but I mean, because it is an official visit, not a political visit, is that why they're not encouraging cameras or letting cameras in inside the training facility during his time in there?
Yeah, you can only guess. We feel a little bit better from the media standpoint knowing that local Democrats are having as difficult a time getting close to the president as we are today. So certainly just an official visit, not a political one, according to the White House today.
All right, Bob, it's an exciting time. We'll check back with you shortly. Thank you. Bob Wiltfong at the Cessna Training Facility.
And right now we're about 20 minutes away from the president's touchdown at McConnell Air Force Base, providing...
There is, Melissa, and there's a whole lot of security. As you mentioned, President Clinton is expected to arrive here on board Air Force One at about 12:25. Someone from the media jokingly asked if he'd be on time. Our answer from Secret Security was, he's the president. The president is always on time. So mark my words, he should be here right at 12:25. Let me set the scene for you a little bit. I want to look around and show you what's here. First of all, I'm sure you can see media. I am told that there are about 140 press credentials given to media members, and that is not the national media who is traveling with President Clinton. That is just all the people like you and I who want to come out here and cover it. Farther down, we can see the motorcade. They have already started gathering. There's at least 15 cars that will carry the president, VIPs, media, guests. They've already gathered down at that end of the runway. On this end of the runway, I don't know, Dave, if you can show them, we have a motorcycle escort in place. That's going to be at the front of the line. And even further out, all the emergency vehicles are already in place should there be any problems during the landing of Air Force One. As you can see, it is a big deal to get all of this logistically together, and when the president comes, that also means there is a whole lot of security. This morning, as we were trying to get in McConnell, if you're not in the military, it's difficult to get in McConnell anyway. It was extremely that way today. We have got Secret Service people all over, even the media. The dogs were out here sniffing all of our stuff. We are told we can't. Air Force One is going to be about 200 feet in front of us. The president is going to come down. He's going to shake some hands. There is a list of VIPs, 27 VIPs, who will be able to meet and greet the president. But let me tell you, it's cold out here. It's probably going to be very quick. It's going to be the governors, senators, etc. They will shake hands, get in the motorcade, and drive on. No band, no color guard, no ceremony at all. It's going to be very quick out here at McConnell, Todd and Mel.
Maybe that's, too, to keep the president from getting too windblown, because a nice Kansas wind's going to greet him.
Yeah,
All right.
It's definitely chilly and windy.
And Anita, we will check back with you in moments then. Thank you.
Perhaps we should concentrate on the sunshine today.
Yes.
Now, as we mentioned, President Clinton is the first sitting president to come to Wichita since Jimmy Carter did almost 20 years ago. The first president to visit the Air Capital was Woodrow Wilson back in 1919. Unfortunately, the more than 100,000 people who came to see President Wilson out at the old Union Station never got to hear him speak. He suffered a stroke as the train pulled into town and never recovered.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the next president to come to Wichita in October 1936. FDR spoke to a huge crowd at Lawrence Stadium. President Lyndon Johnson made 2 trips to Wichita, one a stopover at the municipal airport, that's what it was called then in 1964, and the second for a flight demonstration at McConnell Air Force Base in 1967, followed by a parade in downtown Wichita.
Gerald Ford spoke at Century 2 in 1974, campaigning for the re-election of Senator Bob Dole, his Democratic candidates. Now, today's presidential visit has been eager of Kansans who've been invited to hear his speech in person.
KSN Stephanie Bergman is out at WSU Cessna Stadium, where the invited guests are gathering before being taken in to hear the president. Stephanie.
Melissa, you can tell that I am not one of that select VIPs, and just some average Joes have been invited to speak, and they are loading on, or listen to the speech rather, they are loading onto the buses here. Then they'll folks, WSU students, for example, some political science students, some welfare to work trainees, folks who can speak firsthand about the benefit of this program. And I was really surprised by how many of these folks have met President Clinton before, but many have not, and all of them are more than a little starstruck. Here's what they told me.
Well, I think it's great. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
I met him at his home in Little Rock, Arkansas some years ago, and he inspired me in terms of volunteerism. And now I'm a director of the Downtown Outreach Center for Inner City Wichita, and so it's wonderful to be able to see him again and perhaps to just share with him thank you for his inspiration.
I think this is absolutely neat for Cessna and for Wichita both. I worked for Cessna for 42 years. I think it's really outstanding that the president and his group would come and look at.
Times are changing now. We do have to go from welfare to work, and this is an excellent opportunity. It's work in action itself.
That's right, and again, we've so far counted about 8 to 9 buses, 50 people in all aboard those buses. They've been loading up since about 11:15, taking off for the Cessna facility. All of the folks very excited. As I mentioned, some have met President Clinton in the past, many have not. They're very excited to be a part of what's history in the making here in Wichita. Now, we are at 21st and Hillside. We don't know the motorcade route as of yet. As you can imagine, security is very tight. We're hoping that maybe we'll be lucky enough to see a bit of the motorcade, and if we do, of course, we'll give you a look as well. Todd, Melissa?
Stephanie, is anybody out there just waiting, hoping the motorcade passes by there, besides you, of course, and other reporters?
Actually, no. I was very surprised that we didn't get more of the general public out here. I think there has been such an emphasis on the tightened security that maybe folks thought there was no chance to get a look at the motorcade, so we have the best seat in the house.
All right. Keep that seat, Stephanie. We'll check back with you shortly. Stephanie.
Oh, what, 12 minutes away, 13 minutes away from McConnell Air Force Base. We'll take a quick break right now.
Fit for the President of the United States, and we'll show you some other preparations you might not have thought about, but that happen every place the President goes.
KSN special coverage of the President in Kansas is back after this.
The time for gift giving is here again, so don't miss out on all the savings during Kohl's holiday sale. You'll save store-wide on thousands of items. Save on all men's and women's outerwear. Save on all men's and women's sweaters. Save even more with bonus buys through Monday. And this special edition Winnie the Pooh Holiday Plush is just $17.99, exclusively at Kohl's holiday sale.
Tonight, NBC's doing the full Monday. 4 comedies, each with a musical extravaganza with Tony Bennett.
Stepping out with my baby.
4 hot musical numbers. A night of songs to remember.
It had to be you.
And don't ask. Susan fired up Caroline, The Naked Truth. The full Monday. Ben.
Dateline Monday. Women who lose their desire.
You don't feel sexy. You don't feel attractive.
Could some surprising new therapies help rekindle the flame? Dateline tonight on NBC.
The world is changing. You can't stop it. But you can understand it. MSNBC Channel 2. KSN on the Internet. KSN News. It's time to get connected.
Welcome back to KSN's special coverage of the President in Kansas. Anytime the President travels, there's a lot of work that has to be done to make his trip safe and successful.
For the folks at Cessna, that has meant a lot of work, as you can imagine, to convert part of the 21st Street Training Center into an auditorium where the President can address about 400 people. KSN's Jill Newton was there this weekend while that work was underway.
We've been talking about it, doing it on paper, working on it theoretically. Now we're finally at the point that we can get our hands dirty and start making things happen.
Here at Cessna, they're used to making planes, not decorating for parties.
We're out here to do a very important job today. As we all know, the President of the U.S. is coming here.
And a barren building isn't exactly presidential.
30 workbenches had to be moved. All of the hydraulic hoses and electrical drops had to be tied up to the ceiling.
All to make room for the truckloads of staging, audio equipment, lighting, drapery, banners, bleachers, and blocks. It isn't easy transforming an aircraft sub-assembly facility into a presidential hall, so there's a fair share of excitement about it and a fair share of panic.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, it's going to take us a little while. I'm sure we're going to be taking these down and putting them up quite a bit today. Just changing things around and making sure everything's perfect for when it gets here.
The time frame is tight. The logistics huge. When the floors are swept clean and every last detail carefully in place, This hall will be fit, if not for a king, certainly for a president. Jill Newton, KSN News 3, Wichita.
And if all that work wasn't enough, there's a lot more ahead later today. As soon as the president leaves, they have to get everything back in place quickly so the plant can return to business as usual tomorrow morning.
Well, besides the preparations at Cessna, security is, of course, as you've already heard today, a big part of the planning for any presidential trip. The Kansas Highway Patrol, Wichita Police Department, and Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office have all been working with the Secret Service to ensure the president's safety while he's here in Wichita. And just in case something were to happen to the president, Wesley Medical Center is ready to handle any medical emergency. KSN's Anita Cochran has a look at Wesley's presidential preparations.
It's a busy day in Wesley's emergency department. Most of the beds are full.
I was feeling kind of uncomfortable, chest pains, and my doctor said just come on in and be safe.
But would Haddock be sorry if on the day the president came to town, he and the president both needed care and both checked in at Wesley?
What, like they'd ignore me? Nah, I think I'd be fine.
Patients are more than willing to share their space should the president need medical care, and Wesley Medical Center is more than willing to provide it.
Well, we're a level 1 trauma center, so we are fully equipped. If any VIP who's in town has a problem, be it surgical or medical, we can certainly handle that.
To make sure Wesley can handle anything that might happen while the president is in town, the hospital is on alert status. That means most of its finest doctors and surgeons are on call and must respond within 5 minutes if they're needed. The president travels with his own physician, so it's not likely he'll need medical attention while in Wichita. But if he does, he'll receive the best care medical experts can give.
I think there's a great responsibility to respond quickly and to take good care of him, but to be honest, it wouldn't be any different than we treat every patient who comes through the door. We have a rapid response time, we have responsibility to the public, and that's how we handle all of our trauma and medical emergencies.
Be back in just a moment.
And while Wesley staff members would be honored to serve their president, they hope that they don't have to. It's just nice to know they feel the same about you and me. Anita Cochran, KSN News 3, Wichita.
Secret Service agents have been in Wichita the past few days scouting out medical facilities. We're told more than anything else, they're mostly concerned with in-house security should an emergency arise.
And we are being told right now that Air Force One is coming into McConnell for a landing, so let's go back to Anita Cochran.
That's right, 5 minutes early, as a matter of fact, Anita.
That he is. He is certainly on time. I don't know. Can you see, Dave? Air Force One just landed. Everything is just fine. The president is on the runway here at McConnell Air Force Base, and they'll taxi down to the end and be back up here in just a few minutes. As we mentioned before, there is no ceremony. There is no band. There will be no color guard. The president is simply going to walk down and meet some VIPs, which, by the way, they're mostly right here, over here. They are lined up in order, so he will know whose hands he is shaking. We have talked to Senator Brownback just a few minutes ago. He says, yes, he disagrees with the president every now and then, but he is certainly glad to have him here in Kansas and draw attention to some important programs. The mayor is there, Kathleen Sebelius, our insurance commissioner, a lot of dignitaries waiting, as well as a lot of media. As you can tell, we've got national media, local media, all right out before me, and everybody is pretty much just waiting. You can see, Dave, if you want to go ahead and show Air Force One. Oh, actually, we've got a shot from the other end, we believe. Just taxied to the end of the runway, turning around at this moment, and we'll be back. I don't know if many of you know this, but Air Force One has very major ties to Wichita. The Boeing 747-200B, while the outside was built in Everett, Washington, the inside was done in Wichita. A lot of neat features to Air Force One. There's a flying oval office. There is a conference dining room. The President and First Lady have their own private quarters. I'm told they even have a shower. There's an office area. There's also an office that converts to a medical facility should the need arise. I don't know if you know this as well. The president travels with his own physician, so he is in good hands in the air, on the ground, pretty much everywhere he travels. This 747-200, there are two of them, were delivered in 1990, so they are 7 years old. They replaced 30-year-old 707s, so this jet has been in for about 7 years of service. I'm not sure which one. We haven't been able to get a good look at the number on it, so we're not sure which one of two it is. But there it is, Air Force One carrying President Clinton on the runway.
Anita, now also, I think it was around 2,100 Wichitans worked on this, both of the airplanes. Do you have any sign that they're out there to see that plane come in? Is there any special preparations or arrangements for these people to see the plane?
None at all, Melissa. In fact, I called Boeing this morning and they said, nope, when it lands on that side of the runway, we don't go over. In fact, Air Force One has been back several times for maintenance and repairs, and I guess every time it's pretty uneventful for the folks at Boeing, except for those who need to work on it. No one else is out here beside the VIPs and the media. So, no, unfortunately, the workers don't get to come back and see their work in progress.
Well, I got to tell you, it brings back memories because I can remember a big green 747 flying over town and being seen out at the airfield at Boeing about 10 years ago, and that was the first discovery that the first Air Force One, or what would become Air Force One, was here in town. And it looks a lot different today than it did back then with that spectacular paint job.
Right. I understand that the original paint job on the 707, Todd, was the idea of John F. Kennedy Jr. So some of the things that still remain have JFK's stamp all over them.
Right, and I believe it was supposed to come in around $262 million, and it came out about $385 million over the contract to build it. So it is quite an expensive little ride there.
Boeing had some problems with the wiring and other things with that plane, but when it was all done, I guess it is probably the finest large aircraft in the world, as well it should be for the leader of the free world.
Well, yeah, exactly. We understand there's 238 miles of wiring to make sure that all the communications that the president needs are in order. And if you heard in the news stories throughout the week, he has been in California. The situation in Iraq has been crucial. He has been calling people from Air Force One to stay on top of the situation. So there's a lot of needs for our commander-in-chief whenever he travels. As you can tell, Air Force One pulling up in front of the crowd right now. You can see the tail number 29,000, excuse me. The other Air Force One, I believe, is 28,000.
Once again, you're looking at live at President Clinton's plane, Air Force One, coming into McConnell Air Force Base to begin his visit to Wichita.
It's pretty impressive to be standing here looking at it. I really, I've seen a lot of planes, and being from the air capital, it's no big deal, is it? Until you actually see Air Force One and you realize that the President of the United States is about to climb out of it. It really is exciting, even for those of us in the media who are supposed to be used to doing this kind of thing. Now, as we mentioned, the president will come down and shake some hands. And in the motorcade, I understand, yes, that they already are lining up. The motorcade will drive right up here, so he's not going to get out and walk and talk and come visit with any of us, that's for sure.
And as I understand it, and you mentioned previously, this is going to be a very, very short photo opportunity for all the media here. He gets off the plane, shakes a few hands, and is in one of the two limousines heading towards Cessna on 21st Street quite quickly.
Exactly. By the way, those limousines, I didn't realize this. I talked to a Secret Service person a while ago. I said, gee, where did those come from? Because they're the ones you see on TV. They have the presidential seal and the flags in front. They're based out of Washington. There's an entire fleet of them. They flew them in on a cargo plane just to come and be here today with us and take the president. There it is, in fact, the presidential limo.
Well, otherwise, Anita, you put a lot of extra miles on the limo, and you don't want to do that because I don't believe it gets very good gas mileage.
Well, I asked the stupid question. I said, how'd they get here so quickly from California? Well, now I know there's a whole bunch of them, and now you know that as well.
No, certainly they weren't driving, that's for sure.
No, they weren't. Everybody's lining up. The VIPs are lining up over here, single file, so I think it's going to be a real orderly deal. People are just now getting off the back of the plane, as you can tell. No one that I recognize as of yet.
We should mention that Labor Secretary Alexis Herman is supposed to be on this plane. HUD Secretary Andrew Cuomo is on the plane. Mike Starnes from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce also visiting. I believe that Agriculture Secretary Dan Glickman, of course, a native Wichitan, I believe he's already in town, isn't he?
Right. I saw him just a few minutes ago. He's down on the ground, actually walking toward the plane with our governor, our mayor, some Congress people, even our city commissioners, city council members, excuse me. There they go. They're going to meet and greet the president.
Yeah, and don't kid yourself. We were saying before in this broadcast so far that some people we've spoken to have met the president before, but anytime you meet the president of the United States, it's just as big a thrill for those people who are in public life as it would be for any of us to shake hands with the president of the United States, to see Air Force One, to be part of this. It's not an everyday occurrence for anybody in public life.
That's true, and it makes us feel a little better when we feel a little giddy.
That's okay. I think for this time you can be a little giddy, no matter what your political party.
And that's true. You know, Democrats and Republicans alike are out here, and everybody sort of puts that aside when the president comes to town.
But I did notice that Senators Sam Brownback and Todd Tiahrt did not ride on Air Force One.
No, they were already in town. I don't know if they were not invited or what.
Possibly not.
We're just sort of watching as this happens. As we said, there's so little that is happening here that nobody really knew what to tell us, other than he's going to come down and shake some hands. So that's what we're waiting for.
Well, perhaps right now they're still checking to see if the tray tables are in their upright and locked position on Air Force One.
Yeah, maybe they needed to clean up the spilled peanuts off the floor. Who knows,
That's right?
And be sure that he's out of the shower, too, and ready to come down.
Isn't that amazing? I thought that was very odd. A shower aboard an airplane.
Yes, it's probably a good thing, though, because he does do a lot of traveling.
Yeah, if you think about it, that's probably a real blessing for all of us.
And I know the way that airplane is configured, as large as it is, there's plenty of room for a shower when you don't have the hundreds and hundreds of seats that are normally part of the 747 configuration.
Right. In fact, the passenger load on this, I have to look this up, 70 passengers, 23 crew members, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the 707 only held 46 passengers and 17 crew members. So, you know, there is more room on this 747. But boy, if you think about it, 70? They have some luxury accommodations, that's for sure.
And it's interesting that the media, the White House press corps, is allowed to ride on there with him, which has always been that way, I guess. You know, I guess he would have to have his separate quarters when he wants to get away from the media sometime.
Exactly, but Mel, I also heard that a second plane would be carrying some media members, so I don't know exactly how that works and who gets to go where. Right. I heard that earlier. We have seen no second plane, so I don't know how that will work, but...
Now, Anita, tell us once again who's waiting down at the bottom of the stairs. Do you have that view? Can you see who it is?
Oh, yeah, I can see it. And we also were given the official list. There are 27 people who are going to be meeting the president, shaking his hand, including the commander of McConnell Air Force Base. That's Colonel Lawrence Stevenson. His wife. We've also got Secretary Glickman, as we mentioned, Governor Graves, Mayor Knight. CEO of Cessna, of course, Russ Meyer is here. Eli Siegel, which we talked to last night on the news, he's in charge of the Welfare to Work Partnership. Senator Brownback, Senator Roberts, Congressman Tiahrt, Congressman Ryan, State Treasurer Sally Thompson, Secretary of State Ron Thornburg, our Insurance Commissioner, our State Senate Minority Leader, our House Speaker, our House Minority Leader, our City Council members, and just a couple other former state senators. So 27 people in all. Not sure how they got that list. From what I can tell you, McConnell got the list from the White House. So those are the White House. That's who they wanted to see. Actually, McConnell said that they had very little to do in this whole thing. Basically, what the White House wanted from them was the runway and some security. So they had very little to do with this. They asked about the band and the color guard and a little ceremony, and the White House said thanks, but no thanks.
Well, that's much the same thing that the folks at Cessna Aircraft were told. While they have done a lot of preparations at the training facility, I'm told that the White House let them know right away this was the White House's event, not Cessna Aircraft's event, and the White House would run things their way. But we should also point out what a great honor this is for Cessna. This whole Welfare to Work partnership is only about a year old. It came out right after the president signed the Welfare Reform Act. 5 major corporations in this country, including Burger King, Monsanto, Sprint, United Airlines, and UPS, formed this partnership, but they are still in the infant stages of this program. A lot of them have made pledges to train people to get them off welfare and on the workforce. On the other hand, Cessna Aircraft has been doing this for 7 years. In fact, I was with the very first class that of about 30 or so people, or perhaps it was less than that, mostly women, as I recall, who were in the first training class. This was a long time ago. Cessna has had a great deal of success. More than 200 people
There he
are already
is, Todd.
working for them.
Excuse me. There's President Clinton. And it is Secretary of Agriculture Dan Glickman who is the first to greet the president. And he's going to go right on down the line, the commander of McConnell Air Force Base. And family members, of course.
Anita, do you see a lot of family members out there besides the officials? Or were they allowed to bring their wives or children or husbands?
I think some of them did, but there's really not very many out here. No.
There's the governor and Mayor Knight.
Right. In fact, I think, Melissa, any family members must have been invited because of the security checks.
Right.
Senator Pat Roberts there, and Congressman T. Hart. You noticed Secretary of Agriculture Glickman at President Clinton's side is both a member of the cabinet and is someone who can welcome the president to his hometown.
It really is an honor to have Dan Glickman as the Secretary of Agriculture. I think sometimes we take that for granted, but that's certainly a very powerful position, and I know he's a friend of mine, and it's very impressive to see him in these kinds of situations. I think he really represents us well, no matter what you think of his politics sometimes.
But would you like to ask him, though, if when he was president of the Wichita School Board some 20-odd years ago, that one day he would be welcoming the president, of whom he's a member of his cabinet, to his hometown? I mean, it's just it's quite a leap in 20-some years.
My, how things change, huh? Maybe someday I'll actually be down on that VIP line, huh?
You never know.
I don't think the media will be allowed on the line ever, so you might have to change jobs.
That I might. As you can tell, not spending a lot of time with each person, just basically, hi, how are you?
It's so quiet. I just keep hearing Hail to the Chief in my head. It should be playing somewhere.
I can't hear anything except Air Force One engine still not quite completely dead yet.
I believe that's Insurance Commissioner Kathleen Sebelius.
Right.
And is that State Treasurer Shelley Thompson with her?
I can't tell who's over there, but she's on the list, so I would imagine. Is that right next to her, Todd?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
I think it is.
The State Treasurer.
Yeah, President Clinton's blocking my view at the moment, but that's okay. As you can tell, the people who've already met with him are going to go and get in their cars, part of the official motorcade, so that as soon as he's done, they can get out of here just as promised.
Anita, in a few moments, we're possibly going to talk to a former Wichita resident who now, of course, this is really nothing new. He works with the White House and is White House correspondent for NBC. Our own David Bloom is going to be giving us a little narration as we continue to watch the president.
Is he here and I just don't see him?
No, he's with Bob Wiltfong.
Okay.
At Cessna.
Because I was going to feel bad.
All right, why don't we do this as the president meets with members of the Wichita City Council now. Let's go to David Bloom, NBC White House correspondent, and Bob Wiltfong at the Cessna Training Center. Hi, David. How you doing?
Hey, David.
Todd and Melissa, I should say hi, right?
Yeah, hi.
Good to see you.
How are you guys?
Just fine.
Good.
So,
Todd, Mel, do you have any questions for David, or do you want me to handle this?
I would love to ask David, first of all, whether there's any talk within the White House press corps about the fact that the president has gone ahead with this long weekend of fundraising and then coming to Wichita in the face of what obviously are some very important things. I know on Friday you were saying that a White House aide told you that Saddam isn't going to jerk the president and his schedule around.
Yeah, I think that they very much want to make it business as usual, although, Todd and Melissa, we just heard a few minutes ago that the president does plan to talk about Iraq at the top of his
remarks today, and that on board Air Force One from Los Angeles here to Wichita, he called Kofi Annan, who's the Secretary General of the United Nations, to talk to him about how they resolve this matter, as well as calling Egypt's Mubarak, both to express sympathies for the shooting today, as well as to talk about what Egypt might do. As you well know, the United States is trying to implore Egypt to twist Saddam's arm, so to speak, to try to get him to back down and have this be resolved diplomatically. So, I mean, despite the fact that he's coming here and obviously talking about the welfare to work partnership, clearly the events in Iraq are foremost in his mind right now.
And certainly then you probably know the latest, as you just said, it is not at a point today. It's definitely where he would need to leave suddenly, as far as we know.
Right, and I'm sorry you're cutting in and out a little bit, but right, there's nothing going on today, as far as we're aware anyway, that would cause him to deviate from his schedule. I mean, he wants very much to continue to not become hostage to this. I mean, you'll recall that during the Iranian hostage crisis in the late 1970s, the widespread perception was that Jimmy Carter and his presidency were held hostage to the events there in Iran, and the president does not want that to be the case here at all. But by the same token, they're doing everything they can, both to prepare militarily as well as to pursue any diplomatic options that are available. As you know, he called the president of France, the president of Russia, the prime minister of Great Britain over the weekend, trying to get them to do whatever they can to, as I say, get the Iraqis to step away from this game of brinksmanship, which they appear to want to be playing with the United States right now.
David, I don't know how long you've been in town. I don't know exactly who you were traveling with. You may have heard that there was a major terrorist attack in Egypt today, that some 70 people died from many countries. It's being linked to an Islamic militant group. Is the White House giving any official reaction to that yet?
You know, to tell you the truth, Todd, I heard about that, but we were on the plane from Los Angeles here, and I don't know what the latest on the White House reaction is, but clearly that speaks to the difficulties that the White House faces in dealing with any sort of pinprick strike that the United States would do against Iraq in terms of a military solution might not solve the problem, but some sort of sustained bombing would only serve to further alienate those Arab countries against us and raise the specter of more terrorism.
All right, David Bloom, thank you for providing that insight. Right now, the president's motorcade has just left the runway at McConnell Air Force Base and is en route to the Cessna Training Center.
David, we thank you again. Good to see you back in Wichita.
It's nice seeing both of you again.
Take care.
And I think we're going to take a break right now as the motorcade continues on its route, and we will, of course, be back to see that.
We'll be right back.
What's inside a bag of Millstone whole bean coffee? Of course there are coffee beans, but there's also distinction. Only the finest beans grown, Arabica beans. And there's craft. Slow roasting seals in the fresh whole bean taste. There's anticipation, a taste only you can release in a burst of aroma. Finally, there's satisfaction, the deep satisfaction of one of life's simple pleasures. What's inside a bag of Millstone whole bean coffee? The whole bean, the whole pleasure.
Okay, out there, let's get one thing straight. If you have a family, a kid, a house, you need insurance. But more than that, they need you to have insurance. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've got the body of an 18-year-old. You're going to live forever. The only thing that could do you in would be lightning or a cattle stampede. Ouch. Hey, this isn't about you. It's about your family. So protect them with term life insurance from Money. A $100,000 policy costs as little as... That's cheap, and that's per month. Guaranteed for the first 10 years. Plus, it's convenient because you can get it direct from the Money family, a name that's been around longer than you or I could ever hope to be. It's just a few dollars a month. So call them. It's quick, easy, and you can get started right now over the phone. Term life insurance from Money. The least you can do.
Call Money and find out how to help make your family feel more secure. If you call now, we'll send you a certificate for a free consultation with a financial advisor.
When you were a child, your favorite things were soft. They were fresh. They were fun. And one of them, Wonder Bread, was all that and more. Because Wonder's made with vitamins, calcium, and iron. And it's still as good as you remember when you were a child. Remember the wonder.
All right, we are back, and we're told now that the president's motorcade is traveling along the 31st and Hillside route, heading towards 31st and Hillside.
All right, everybody was predicting it'd be 21st, going from Rock Road to 21st, but that's not the case. The route is a little bit more complicated, but probably
and
more
secretive,
simplified.
as we mentioned before.
Right. So our own Ingrid Bell, though, she's always on top of the story, and she managed to be along the 31st Street area. Ingrid, is there anybody gathering there, since nobody really knew this was the exact route he was going to take?
There are a few people gathering here. You can see a few people behind me that have already gathered. But I tell you what, those are some of the folks that we told when we were over at Rock Road and found out that, hey, it's not happening there. There's also some folks on the other side of the street, and we do have officers blocking off traffic here. We were told by the officers that they are indeed coming down on 31st Street South here and Hillside. So all kinds of excitement and anticipation. Now, I should tell you, when we were on Rock Road, we saw Air Force One fly overhead. So there was all kinds of excitement seeing the president come in. Many of the people that we spoke with earlier have never seen a presidential motorcade, have never seen the president, of course, up close. And a few of them said they had seen possibly Kennedy's motorcade in Colorado. We heard different stories, but for most people it had been at least a decade, if not 2 decades. Now let me tell you what we're going to be seeing here. We're told that 40 officers will be escorting the president. That's going to include the Secret Service, the Wichita Police, of course, the Sheriff's Department, and the Highway Patrol as well. And then we have foot officers that are monitoring traffic, and folks can expect about a 5-minute delay. We've had traffic delayed here for about 5 minutes now. We were told about 7 minutes ago that the president would be here in 7 minutes, so we can expect him any moment now. Now, to kind of put this in perspective, back in 1992 when Boris Yeltsin visited, what happened then is they did not give out the route, of course, until the very last minute, and that's the same thing that's happening here with President Clinton. Nobody knew where it was going to be. The press didn't know. In fact, I'm told that we got a viewer tip, and that's how we found out exactly where to be and rushed down here at the last minute. This is considered an official visit. It's not a political visit, and that's why very few local people were involved at all. I'm seeing some officers now, some motorcycle officers.
Probably just the first sign of that. I believe this route took them down 31st to K-15 up onto the canal route, and they should be passing you very quickly here.
Ingrid, we've heard something about the 2 cars, and then there is a vehicle, and I don't know how to describe it, if it's a Humvee or whatever it is, that is heavily, let's say, loaded with ammunition, armored, and in case a car turns in and tries to follow the motorcade. Did you hear anything about that?
We haven't heard anything about that yet. In fact, we weren't even told how many cars would be in the motorcade. That's the kind of security that's going on right now, particularly with, this is how tight security always is with the president, but with tensions running so high with the situation in Iraq, I think it's doubled out here. We're seeing the motorcade now in full force.
No, you can't help but think it really is too bad. All the people in Wichita who would love to be lining the route just to get a glimpse of it, and because of the president's security, which certainly is important, they're not going to get to do that.
That's why we're here, though.
That's why we're here, to be the surrogate. That's right.
And again, you won't know which limousine the president is riding in.
There they go. Ingrid, how are people reacting as they're watching you go by? Waving?
People are waving and staring, trying to figure out where the president is. Now, I have not seen the president. I'm looking. I did see Dan Glickman, however, Secretary of Agriculture, ride by. I was able to spot his face. But he, like you said, he could be in any one of these vehicles.
All right, and that is the end of the motorcade. Obviously, other dignitaries, people, staff members being taken. You see the ambulance there and more law enforcement escort. That appears to be the end of the motorcade there. It won't be long now until they are on 21st Street at the Cessna Training Facility.
That's right, and we're going to take a quick break right now as they continue en route to 21st Street, and we'll be back in a moment.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Emprise Bank. Just your size. Emprise.
Wrap yourself in riches with Merle Norman's holiday gift. Yours free when you buy any 2 Merle Norman cosmetic products. Available at participating studios.
I saw a commercial for Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and it was a beacon that led me to a hospital with a completely different approach. They believe in treating you mind, body, and soul, and what a difference. Now that I'm well, I feel a responsibility to help other cancer patients find the care that they too deserve. The first call that any patient should make should be to Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Please call us today at 1-800-529-5585.
Warning signs that your teenager may need help. Fails at school. Drawn to new friends who use drugs. Gets angry easily. Rejects authority. Behaves erratically as if on drugs. Becomes physically violent when drinking. Drinks and drives. Talks about suicide. When things spin out of control, it's time to call Charter. We're here for you 24 hours a day, every day.
The world is changing. You can't stop it. But you can understand it. MSNBC Channel 2. KSN on the Internet. KSN News. It's time to get connected.
You'll never be happy with your new carpet if it isn't installed properly. When you buy carpet from Star, you bought a value equation that begins with outstanding products at outstanding prices and then continues through professional estimating, installation, and financing. Finally, the entire Star certified value package is supported by Star's reputation for satisfied customers.
Since 1939, Kansans have been trusting their homes to Star because we do the whole job right, start to finish.
And we are back with more continuous coverage, live coverage of the president in Kansas, and we have now gone to KSN News 3's Eye in the Sky for a different look.
Otherwise known as our weather camera, and we are looking at I-135 there, and the president, I'm not quite sure, can you make out if we see it or not?
If any of you viewers at home can spot the limousine, please call in now.
Yes,
we're waiting for it. And,
I just wonder about if I know the police are keeping motorists pretty far away from this, but anybody who accidentally makes a wrong turn thinking they're in a funeral procession or something, that would not be a good deal, but I don't think that's going to happen.
And if you are wondering about the way the camera's shaking there,
it goes right there.
There it is. We don't have a nervous photographer holding that camera. That is up on a post, and it is zoomed in, and as you can see, it's being shaken by the wind, and there is the motorcade.
I think you can see it. Well, no. We're trying to get that picture for you.
Okay, now we want to show you all of Wichita one time.
It's a tour. Really beautiful city from here.
It's a view you've never seen before, possibly. And again, once the president finishes this trip and gets to the Cessna training facility, he will be again meeting some people, and there we see the motorcade again. And then he will be on a tour of the facility. Now, there it is. You see the 2 limousines. During that time, we will not be allowed to follow the president on his tour of the training center.
Which is really too bad because, and I'm surprised, it's a great photo opportunity for the president. Apparently doesn't need it and is not worried about that, but it would have been a great thing for the people inside to be able to, show their friends that they talk to the president.
Points out how serious the president is about this Welfare to Work program. Let's go to Bob Wilfong at the Cessna Training Center where they are awaiting the arrival of the President of the United States. Bob.
What you're looking at there, Todd, is an eagle-eye view from the top of our live truck outside of this training center looking to the west. As you can see, possibly off in the distance, there's I-135. We expect that the President and his motorcade will be traveling down that road east towards where we're at, inside the building there at the bottom of the screen at the Cessna training facility. As we said earlier, this motorcade was far from a parade motorcade. It was more like an airport shuttle, so it was going to be quick moving, and they've kept true to form there. The Secret Service always keeping us guessing as to their exact route. Well, they really pulled a fast one on us today. We didn't expect this kind of route, but even so, as you know, there have been local security people involved in this motorcade procession, about 40 officers from Kansas Highway Patrol, Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department, the local Secret Service, and the Wichita Police Department involved in this motorcade procession. And as we wait the president's arrival down here on East 21st Street, as you look at that video, I'll introduce Mike Barbera. He is the Vice President of the Welfare to Work Partnership, and that is the reason why we are here today, in large part, that and Cessna's success in this program. Mike, thanks first for joining us. And just for the people at home, what is the Welfare to Work program, or partnership?
Well, the Welfare to Work Partnership is a group of businesses across the country with more than 2,500 businesses as of today. And Cessna is one of our original 105 businesses, and we feel that Cessna really can serve as a model for other companies who are interested in starting private sector welfare to work programs in their workplace.
And I know the president would like to see more businesses join this partnership. Is that the goal of the partnership itself, and how do you go about doing that?
Well, that's exactly right. We feel like welfare to work is a smart solution for business, that businesses of any size can do a welfare to work program that fits their needs. Don't have to be a Fortune 500 company like Cessna, but smaller companies as well. And all you need to do is find out how to do it, is to call our 1-800 number. That's 1-888-USA-JOB-1, toll-free number any business can call. We'll send them a complete package on how to get started. Again, you don't have to be a Fortune 500 company. Cessna's a shining example of how to do this the right way, but large companies, medium-sized, and small companies can do it as well.
And is it unusual for the president to make an appearance on behalf of Welfare to Work partnership like this?
Well, the president's done a couple of events with us. We're very gratified by that. But one of the things that really is unique about this is, as soon as we told him about how impressive Cessna's program was in this facility here at 21st Street, it wasn't very hard to convince him to come here, because really Cessna, between the child care and the housing and the terrific job training program they have established here, really it's a model for companies everywhere.
Okay, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. I know you've got a busy day in front of you. Thank you very much. And we're looking at a live shot there, the motorcade as it proceeds east down 21st Street. That is the president's motorcade coming into view now. What you see at the bottom of your screen is the very top of the building that we are in. As you can see, 40 police officers, including the Secret Service, the Kansas Highway Patrol, Wichita Police Department, and the Sheriff's Department were part of this motorcade. It was a quick motorcade. Not much of a time to take a good look at the president or his limousine. As you can see, some people on the outskirts of 21st Street looking. It appears some people are cheering as they slowly pull in here to the 21st Street facility for Cessna. And the reason we are here, as you look at that video, the president arriving here at the center, is because of the Welfare to Work program that's going on here. And joining us now, as you look at that video, is Fred Grover, and you are one of the graduates, correct, of this program?
Yes, I am, Bob.
Okay. Fred, what do you think about today? This has got to be a phenomenal feeling for you, not only being part of this program, but the fact that the president is pointing it out to the rest of the nation.
It's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I never thought it would ever happen. I'm privileged and honored to be here and be a part of this program.
What has this program meant to your life?
Yeah, it's meant to my life. It got me out of a rut that I was in. It's provided for my family for the last going on 4 years, and it's an excellent program. Excellent program.
What are you doing now? Are you working for Cessna?
Yes, I am. I work out at the Pawnee facility. I work in the shear room. I run a shear machine, shear material all day long. I'm also a shop steward for the union, and also I'm on the board of directors at the Activity Center, Cessna Activity Center, and also a safety advocate for the union.
And you're one of the few, the proud, the people who actually get to see the president here in the training center. Fred, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it. And as you can tell, Todd, Melissa, kind of a hush has fallen over the room. People sensing that the president is near now. We expect him here any minute to a rousing chorus of applause, I'm sure.
All right, and Bob, from what we could see, it looked like there were quite a few people lined up outside the center to get a glimpse of the motorcade. So at least some Wichitans got to see him.
That's right. And it is amazing when you think about what that corridor of our city looked like 10 years ago. Open-air drug markets, burned-out buildings, just not a nice place at all. And today, it's sparkling. There is a great deal of work going on there, great facilities, and it's a great part of our city to show off to the president.
Yeah, looking here, you can see why the president would want to hold up Cessna and this area in particular as an example of what to do when it comes to getting people off welfare and into jobs.
All right, Bob, I'm sure we'll be checking back with you in just moments. But first, we're going to talk to somebody else who is very close to, of course, the local Democratic Party.
That's right. That's Henry Helgerson. Because the President of the United States is here, we wanted to get a political perspective here. What does it mean, first of all, to have a Democratic president come here to the state of Kansas?
Well, it's great. It's fantastic. Not only for Democrats, though, for all Wichitans and all Kansans. And it's good to have him here on this issue. Many individuals in Kansas have been preaching that what we wanted to do was provide people the assistance to get back to work. And Cessna is a model for that.
Representative, now it's got to be frustrating for you, though, to know since there has not been a Democratic president here since, you know, Jimmy Carter in 1978, that has got to be so frustrating to you to not be able to use this anyway politically. And there were some who were speculating that, oh, he's coming to get Jill Docking to run against Sam Brownback or something.
Or at least raise some money for the Democratic Party,
but
right?
none of that. Is that frustrating for you?
No, I know some people may say that it's a little frustrating for them, but I think all of us are taking a little bit of time and saying, let's not be political. Let's try to build an opportunity for people to get back to work. And that's what the president is doing here. And so this is not to try to recruit candidates. It's not try to help Bill Clinton because he's not running for anything. It's a way of trying to work together and bring emphasis, which he has done for the last 2 years, about why it's important for businesses to take a lead, to be a leader in trying to put people back to work.
Now I've got to ask you, as a state representative, what influence might the state legislature have in the future on this whole welfare to work issue? Obviously, this welfare to work partnership is an outgrowth of changing the welfare system, limiting it, and sending block grants to the states to take care of welfare. What else can the legislature do to move this along in this state?
Well, let's talk about historically what's happened. Over the last 10 years, we have seen our welfare rolls drop in half because the economy is doing great. And the reason Cessna is succeeding is because there are numerous jobs out there, and they're trying to get more employees. What the legislature has to realize is that when the economy starts going a little sour, and it will, we're going to have more of a problem in putting these people back to work. And that means that you have to provide additional training, additional health care, and the support and the relationships to do this. You know, Cessna isn't the only program out there also. You have a program with United Methodist Urban Ministries that is doing the same type of opportunity, except trying to educate and bring people to a point where they can go out and get their own jobs. That's the kind of programs we need to start emulating throughout the state.
And we see this as a seed, but you think it will be happening? We will see more local involvement?
I think you're going to see programs continue to spread here in Wichita, especially when the economy goes great guns. The problem's going to be when we have a little bit of a downturn and there's not as much money available, and will the legislature continue to put money in for training? In previous years, the legislature voted this down, and it's important that they continue their support.
All right, Representative Henry Helgerson, thank you so much for being with us here today. We very much appreciate your time, and I know you'd like to be somewhere out there shaking the president's hand, but thanks for being with us here in the studio.
Thank you.
For a very bad substitute, I have a feeling, but we'll be right back. We're going to, of course, go to the 21st Street Training Center as the president is arriving there, so don't go away.
Treetop Nursery, home of your Kansas gardener, helps you paint your corner of the world. Greenhouses brimming with thousands of blooms, one of the largest selections in Kansas. Acres of hardy trees and colorful shrubs for shade or accent. A showroom filled with home and garden decor, unique, warm, delightful. And a nursery full of knowledge and the people to help you put it all together. Treetop Nursery, for more than 20 years, helping you paint your corner of the world.
Girlfriend, I want to be drenched in gold. I want style. I want it dressy. I want to sail before Christmas.
Hey, there's no better time to add some sparkle to your holidays.
I want bracelets. I want necklaces.
I really want a new cool dress.
Has to flatter my figure. Something shiny, something new. Ward's pre-holiday sale. You're going to love it.
I want a diamond ring. A big one.
Cheer asks, what are your colors worth?
Ooh, I wonder what 3 of these colorful babies will cost you. Whoa, a lot. So don't you wish there was some detergent specially made to clean colors? Oh, there is. Cheer. Now look, there's chlorine in your tap water, but Cheer neutralizes it. So it can't fade your nice bright colors. And who doesn't look good in bright colors? It's you. All color Cheer, because it's colors that count.
NBC's doing the full Monday. 4 comedies, each with a musical extravaganza with Tony Bennett.
Stepping out with my baby.
4 hot musical numbers. A night of songs to remember.
It had to be you.
And, don't ask. Susan fired up Caroline, The Naked Truth, the full Monday. Then.
Dateline Monday, women who lose their desire.
You don't feel sexy. You don't feel attractive.
Could some surprising new therapies help rekindle the flame? Dateline Monday on NBC.
The president right now is taking a tour of the Cessna Training Center, probably meeting and greeting some folks. Again, our camera's not allowed to be in on that, and probably talking to some students as well right now. We cannot bring a live camera inside. We'd like to show you what the president will be seeing when he does see the training center.
But darn, I wish we could go in there. That's just killing me. Anyway, KSN's Ingrid Bell spent some time there recently and shows us what the center means to the people it serves.
Cessna's training center has graduated 250 trainees. 200 of them are still with the company. But what's attracting the president's attention is the steps Cessna has taken to ensure their success.
You don't have to bring a lot to the party to make it work. Just come in here with a good attitude and a desire to work, and the rest will just kind of take place.
That's because the center has so much to offer. Paid training in sheet metal or clerical work, on-site affordable daycare, and soon on-site housing. But most importantly, a job, guaranteed after graduation.
We have individuals that have come into the program that are now supervisors, secretaries, inspectors, heat treat technicians.
Most of the trainees were formerly on welfare. Many are single mothers who know what it's like to struggle.
And yeah, it has been tough, but we're making it. And I feel like this training is helping us a lot.
Life for Logan and her family is changing.
They like when Mommy brings home those paychecks so we can go shopping or Discovery Zone or somewhere like that.
And since Cessna came here in 1990, the Boys and Girls Club has moved in, 2 banks have moved in, a senior center, even a police substation. The face of this neighborhood is changing. All the changes stem, at least in part, from Cessna's commitment to the Northeast Side.
And I tell you what, if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be right now.
It's a commitment that President Clinton will soon honor as a model for change in all American cities.
It has provided hope. Probably the best word is provided hope.
Ingrid Bell, KSN News 3, Wichita.
Now, Ingrid mentioned Cessna's commitment to Wichita's Northeast Side, but it's not the only Wichita company helping to turn that part of the city around.
No, as a matter of fact, we want to go back out to Bob Wiltfong for a look at the revitalization that we were speaking about earlier. It's taking place all along the 21st Street corridor. Bob?
Yeah, you know, Todd and Melissa, it's obvious from watching that story that why it's on here at East 21st Street. You know, for years this area has been considered one of the highest crime, lowest income areas in town, but now things are changing.
A new library is dedicated to poet Maya Angelou. Datamac graduates a new class of people ready for the workforce. Throw in a new retirement center, a new shopping center, and a police substation. You've got a rebirth going